Welcome to this video. Let's look deeply into description of sounds. Particularly, let's focus first on vowel sounds. To describe any vowel sound in English language, you pay attention to the following criteria. Number one is duration. Duration has to do with the length or sustainability of a particular sound. When you say a particular sound, is the duration long or short? Another thing to pay attention to is the part of the tongue involved in the description of that sound or in the articulation of that sound. For instance, if you have a sound to articulate, is it the front part of the tongue that is involved, the middle part of the tongue, or the back part of the tongue? I'm saying this to say that we have three consecutive parts or positions of the tongue when articulating any vowel sound in English language. So we can categorize the 12 pure vowel sounds in English language into three: front, back, and central, or you call it mid vowel sounds. Another thing to pay attention to is the height of the tongue. The height of the tongue has to do with what happens to the part of the tongue involved in the articulation of the sound. Is it raised or lowered? Is it raised towards the roof of the mouth or lowered in the mouth? So that will describe the height. So sometimes we can have sounds that are described as close because they are raised towards the hard palate or the roof of the mouth, or you can call them high vowel sounds. Then you can also have sounds described as low or open, those ones that the tongue is lowered, notwithstanding the part of the tongue involved. So take note of the part and height of the tongue. They're very important when it comes to the description of vowel sounds. The last, but by no means the least, is the shape of the lips. The lips, you make a particular shape when any sound is pronounced, and that shape of the lips is used to describe the sound. So we can have some sounds to deal with unrounded lips. We can have a sound produced with a rounded lip and sometimes straight. So these are the adjectives we can use in describing a particular sound based on the shape of the lip: unrounded, rounded, and straight. These four criteria must be put together in order to have the actual description for a particular sound in English language. Now let's look at the actual classification of each of these pure vowel sounds based on the description we have studied already. The first category is based on duration. How do we describe a sound based on duration? The pure vowel sounds, that is the 12 monophthongs of English language, are classified into two categories. We have the relatively long sounds and the relatively short sounds. And there are 7 relatively short sounds in English language, as well as 5 relatively long ones in English language. So let me begin from the relatively short ones. They include e, a, o, u, and whereas the relatively long ones include e, o, u, and So 5 relatively long and 7 relatively short. Then in terms of the part of the tongue or position of the tongue involved in the articulation of the sounds, the 12 monophthongs of English language are divided into 3 categories. ranging from the front sounds to the back sounds and to the mid sounds. So the front sounds include vowel number 1 to 4, which are E, A, and R. Whereas the back sounds are 5 in number, ranging from vowel number 5 to vowel number 9, and they include R, O, U. Then the remaining 3 are mid vowel sounds. Your tongue is at the middle of your mouth. In fact, the middle part of the tongue is involved in the articulation of these particular sounds, and they include vowel number 10 to 12, which are and That's the schwa sound, vowel number 12. That is based on the part or position of the tongue involved in the articulation of the sounds. Again, we have the height of the tongue as the next criterion for the description of vowel sounds. The height has to do with whether the tongue is raised or lowered in the mouth during the production of that sound. And based on that, we have certain sounds like E. When you say E or E or U, the front part of the tongue is raised. The tongue is raised, not the front part of the tongue. The front part of the tongue is applicable to E and A, whereas the back part of the tongue is applicable to U and U. But the central point here is that the tongue is raised towards the hard palate or the roof of the mouth, and that's why they are described as high or close vowel sounds. Note, close is another description for high sound. Close in the sense that they are raised close to the roof of the mouth. Then we also have sounds like R, or. Those ones are described as low or open vowel sounds. Likewise, we have the half closed and half open sound. Like the R is half open, whereas is half closed. So these are the criteria for the description of vowel sound. The last, but by no means the least, is the shape of the lips. The shape has to do with the form made by your lips during the articulation of any sound, and that also constitutes the description of the sound. For example, we have sounds like E. When you say E, your lips are straight, so you can describe that sound as straight vowel sound. We have A. When you say A, your lips are unrounded, so that is unrounded vowel sound. We have U. When you say U, your lips are rounded on the Hulu space. That means that is a rounded vowel sound. So we have these three descriptions based on the shape of the lips during the articulations of the pure vowel sounds. So when you have any pure vowel sound to describe, all you have to do is to pay attention to each of these criteria, ranging from duration, part or position of the tongue, height of the tongue, to shape of the lips. Thank you very much for watching this video. I remain Teacher Dixon.